the play-in tournament. Grizzlies and Warriors. And that meant Steph Curry, some hardware on the night for Steph. We'll explain. Warriors down 4. Curry keeps the dribble alive. Dribbles by Brandon Clark. Stop me if you've seen that before. Beautiful floater with the basket. Curry clinches his second scoring title, joining Michael Jordan as the only players 33 or older to do so. To the third, Dillon Brooks trying to hang on to Steph. And I mean trying to hang on to him. Limiting him just 2 points on 1 of 7 shooting. Curry, though, would figure it out through the third. Seeing the separation, hits the deep three, and then Curry going to lose Brooks. Backdoor cut. Steph would not be done yet. Just over 2 minutes later, Curry, 3 off the catch and shoot. Way out. Curry would finish with 17 in the third quarter. He's hopping. 17th time Curry has scored 15 or more in the third quarter this season. After trailing by as many as 17 in the fourth, Brooks would bring the Grizzlies right back and won, and that would tie the game. Pumped. Brooks' excitement, though, would be short-lived. Foul down on the next possession. I heard Doris and Jonesy talking about that. Can't foul out in that spot. Brooks had 13 of his 18 in the fourth. Curry took over the game from there, coming off the screen. Steph gives it up to Draymond. Gets it back, the give and go. Getting the crowd fired up. Next Warriors possession. Curry's guarded well. Step back. Little Harden game for you there. It's his third 3 in less than 2 minutes. And he'll let everybody know about it. Vintage Curry with a vintage Warriors celebration. Here is Steph on that particular moment.
Shout out to Baron Davis. I definitely channeled my Karolinko moment. I ain't dunk on nobody, but I wanted to channel the same celebration. So shout out to BD.
And Baron noticed and jumped on Twitter after the moment to share his appreciation. And afterwards, Curry posted a video of his son Cannon on Instagram. Him too. We're all doing it. I'm taking my shirt off in the studio right now. It's a good thing you can't see that. Curry would finish with 46 points, 7 rebounds. Warriors clinch the 8 seed. More from Steph.
As crazy as it sounds, I wish I shot the ball a little bit better because I had a lot of good looks all night. But, you know, we were in sync. Guys were setting great screens for me, you know, and just kept pounding the pavement for the entire game, and things start to loosen up.
Look out.
Woo! That's a good one right there.
It's an art, and, you know, he's like the Picasso of our time. Like, he really just doing his thing, and you can't do nothing but love him. You know, I grew up a Warriors fan. We sucked for years. Like, everybody wants to watch the Warriors now. Yeah, everybody wants to come to Warriors game. He's the price, like the price of admission is well worth it.
The Warriors won 15 of their final 20, a span that started on April 10th. Only the Knicks had a better record over that time. Steph averaged 37 points per game over that stretch, 5 more than Bradley Beal to pass him for the scoring title. And the Warriors passed the Grizzlies and Spurs in the standings. They'll be the 8th seed in the play-in tournament. So right now, if things remain the same, it looks like Warriors-Lakers in a little play-in action.
It's going down. And the BPI checking out who's going to do what. According to BPI, Celtics almost assured to move on, get in the real playoffs. Wizards close behind. Pacers, Hornets, you got to make an upset or something. Out west, strong support for the Los Angeles Lakers and the Golden State Warriors to make it into the real NBA playoffs. Those two play each other. Anthony Davis, what's it going to be like to face Steph Curry and the guys?
He create problems for every team. His ability to shoot the basketball, get in the paint, make his team better, find guys. It's a challenge for everyone. So that's going to be our, focus. He's the head of the snake. If we can limit him, 3-point attempts, his free throw attempts, then we have a high chance of winning. And also their role players. I mean, their guys are playing great. That team is rolling, playing great basketball. So, we're not going to this game thinking it's going to be easy. It's definitely going to be tough. But we know what we're capable of, and if we do the things we're supposed to do, then we should walk out that building with a W, out of Staples with a W, and it's going to be fun. Like I say, trying to contain, a guy who's in the MVP race who just won the scoring title. It's going to be fun for us, and it's going to be a test for our defense.
All right, Tim Legler on board with us now. Typically, we have you reviewing what happened, breaking it down. Now we want you to forecast what's going to happen. We'll have generalities for our questions. You taking them specific for the play-in. What are you looking at the most?
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating, Kenny. I think obviously we're going to start with the Lakers and Warriors. And what's interesting about this is I'm not going to be shocked with either team winning this game. Ultimately, I think they're both going to get in because I think whoever loses the game is going to beat the winner of Memphis and San Antonio. So ultimately, you're going to have the Lakers and Warriors both get in, and now you're going to get them against a top of the West that certainly looks different than we thought it would going into the season with Utah and Phoenix up there. So I think you look at the Lakers, they're a team that just has to avoid getting knocked out early because they've had so much of their lineup interrupted this year with AD and LeBron. They're just starting to find their feet together. If they can avoid getting knocked out in this play-in format, they're going to get better each and every game. And now, if you're sitting there at the top of the West, man, what bad luck to get a healthy Lakers team in the first round and a Warriors team red hot with Steph Curry, a two-time MVP, playing the best offensive basketball of his entire career. So it's going to be very interesting. I think both of those teams can give Utah and Phoenix all they can handle. And in the case of the Lakers, they're going to be favored as a 7 or 8 to win that series, which is going to be very rare when you get to the NBA playoffs. But the Warriors also, I think, have a great shot of extending that first-round series if they get there against Utah or Phoenix.
All right, Tim, unplanned bonus question. Yes or no answer only. Are you a fan of this whole play-in thing?
Absolutely
yes or no?
Love it. And it's because as a fan and an analyst, not speaking as a player, love it. Absolutely love it.
Okay, extended time is granted. All right, as for the playoffs that are already set, the ones that don't have the variables about the play-in, what's most interesting to you right now?
I like Bucks Heat. I mean, this is a weird matchup for the Bucks because they obviously, the Heat have had their number, and now you have a situation where the Heat are playing their best basketball of the year. This is a team that, if you'd asked me even a month ago, I would have said the Heat, no chance, survived the first round of the playoffs. But instead, you look up, they've got everybody back now. They're playing an incredible rhythm. They've added a guy like Trevor Ariza who gives them tremendous length defensively. And now this is a team going up against the Bucks that I think is the best version that we've seen out of Milwaukee in the past 3 years. This is a more viable threat to win the Eastern Conference because you added Jrue Holiday, and it gives them another answer in one-possession games late. You don't just have to go to Giannis for an ISO, which has been a bad formula for the Bucks in the playoffs. You're going up against a team in Miami that feels like they've got your number, and they're also playing great basketball. And they're a team that went to the finals last year. They're not going to be fazed by anything. So for an early round matchup, but this is as good as it gets at the 3-6. With Miami feeling like there's nobody in the East that they can't get through, and the Bucks feeling like they finally have a complete enough team to make a serious run at the Eastern Conference.
Tim, what you said was interesting, but I was watching your background. You've changed it, kind of a softer, hopeful look. We look for.
He should be in the top 3. But they ain't going to give it to Giannis. It's Giannis fatigue. Even I have it, right? Steph is doing more or less what he did his MVP season when they won 73 games and he set the world on fire. He's doing that again. Other than Jokic, no one has been better and more present. If you look at this roster for the Warriors, guys, I did not think they were going to be good. I didn't think they had enough shooting. You have the greatest shooter of all time and no other shooters on the team. They're better than 500 in a very tough conference because they have a top 3 MVP. His name is Steph Curry. Lillard has tailed off a little bit. He's carried a big load so far. Steph is top 3.
Well, Max, I respectfully disagree, and here's why. I'm not taking anything from Steph. Steph has been must-see TV. He has been on another level. But here's the problem I have when it comes down to the MVP conversation, okay? The goalpost continues to move, all right? And when we talk about the MVP, we talk about where's your team right now? Like, we're looking at the top-ranking teams, the 1, the 2, the 3 seed in each conference, the best team in the NBA, et cetera, et cetera. The Warriors are sitting at number 8. Okay, and I get it, right? They don't. Everyone in the world says, including myself, he don't have the great supporting cast, and I get that part. But they're still sitting at the 8th seed, Max. They're only 2 games above 500. there's no way he could be a top 3 MVP candidate. I have him as a top 5. I strongly believe he should be in the conversation, but he's not ahead of Jokic. He's not ahead of Embiid. He's not ahead of Giannis, and he's not ahead of CP3. Chris Paul, man, I'm just like, it's mind-boggling to me that we just don't respect what CP3 brings to the game, okay? And we go back to when he won it, I think in 2005, 2006, when Kobe Bryant was averaging 35 points, playing with Kwame Brown and a whole lot of others and carrying that team and had them really a little bit above. I think they might have been the 8th seed at the time. It's the same scenario. Steve Nash won. His numbers were not better, but his impact on the team and what his team was at the time, they were one of the best teams in the league, is why he won the MVP. Now, I will say this, Steph Curry is up there as the MVP, one of the most dominant players in the game today. Yes, he's top 3 at that category, but I can't give him top 3 MVP, Max, just because they're sitting at the 8th slot.
Yeah, Perk, I'm with you on both points you made as far as Chris Paul not getting more conversation for MVP. And, of course, winning having to factor into the conversation when we start talking about the most valuable player award. I mean, you can talk about Steph Curry being able to be one of those guys that has a chance to lead the league in scoring, one of the oldest players to lead the league in scoring since Michael Jordan last did it. But you got to also look at what Joel Embiid is doing and what Jokic is doing. Embiid, I understand he missed the 19 games, but he's 3rd in points per game. He's 2nd in usage percentage, and he's top 5 in defensive rating. And, oh, by the way, his team is in the tops in his conference. You got to give respect to that, even if it's the Eastern Conference, which is the weaker of the 2 conferences. As far as Jokic goes, I mean, you're seeing what he's doing even without Jamal Murray. His team is 6-3, and they're going to finish with a top 4 seed in the Western Conference. He's leading them in points, rebounds, and assists. So I think you have to give respect to what both of those guys are doing. I think Steph Curry is a top 5, top 6 guy in the MVP conversation. I think Lillard is in there, Giannis is in there, and Luka's in there. I don't know what order those guys would be in. Steph is in that mix. But I can't give Steph the nod over Joel Embiid and Jokic. I just can't.
Look, well, Joel Embiid's just missed a bunch of games. That's the only reason I have him there. But let me just say something about this most valuable player. First of all, Perk, because they made a mistake giving Nash the MVP way back when, they should do it again? No, I'm sorry. They got it wrong back then. But it's okay to say they got it wrong, and we evolve. We don't have to get it wrong again. Chris Paul's having a fantastic year. If Steph was on that team, they'd be even better. I don't think Chris Paul could do with the Warriors what Steph's doing. And here's the big misconception about, well, if you're the MVP, you have to win.
Yep.
Most valuable and best are synonyms. I don't care what anyone says. It's just be rational about this. Most valuable, best, the guy who contributes the most to winning. Now, if your teammates aren't good enough, right, you may not win enough. That doesn't mean that you didn't contribute the most toward a win. You just didn't get all the way there because your teammates weren't good enough. There's already an award for having the best teammates. It's calling being, number one seed, number 2 seed, making a playoff run. That's the award. We're trying to say who's the most valuable.
Yeah, but in reality, it's not going to happen because of their record.
LeBron James, even if he says he's in decline, even LeBron in decline is better than everyone else. Maybe. But they're going to have to prove it in the playoffs. Harden will have to prove it in the playoffs to have me put him ahead of LeBron. Mm-hmm. Here's why I put LeBron on and not Luka, Stephen A. You said you're not going to include forwards. Luka's a forward. Because I'm taking guys who initiate the offense, who are the primary ball handlers, playmakers, and who guard the other teams, at least one player in the other team's backcourt. LeBron, I've seen shut down a prime D Rose as an MVP.
For a player two?
No, I've seen LeBron shut down elite guards in playoff games. That's not Luka. Now, Harden's not a great defender, but he does defend guards. Every one on my list defends backcourt players routinely, initiates their offense, and is the primary ball handler playmaker. I think LeBron James is not only the greatest point guard today, but in fact, he is the guy who has replaced Magic as the greatest point guard of all time. If you're making your all-time list, you put LeBron at the point.
Well, listen, if you're doing that, I'm not going to knock you for that. I understand it. It's just that when they were looking after they lost Ronda, they went out and they got Dennis Schroeder for a reason. You understand? Because he's essentially your point guard and somebody to take the pressure off LeBron when you don't want LeBron hampered with those obligations all the time. Whereas when you look at Rick Carlisle in Dallas, he said, I came to my senses when I interviewed him and asked him this question. He said, what the hell were we doing, Luka's rookie year? What were we doing that was wrong? We didn't put the ball in his hands and let him run our team. He's our point guard, his exact words. And so when I look at it from that perspective, that's the only reason I don't have LeBron on the list. That's it. Yep. Okay. I look at James Harden. He's a scorer. Remember, Kyrie's supposed to be a point guard, but he's your off guard this year because James Harden is a point guard. So you see what I'm saying? We understand it. So again, we know who the talent is and we know what they do. But I'm just talking about in terms of this year, what you're seeing from people who actually are listed as playing the position and running the offense, both, not just running the offense, but playing the position and running the offense. You designate them as your point guard. Steph Curry is the greatest shooter God ever created. And because he's such a marksman, combined with his extraordinary movement without the ball, combined with his ball handling skills, AI, Allen Iverson, Max Kellerman, called me the other morning at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock in the morning.
AI doing up at 8 in the morning.
You'd be surprised. My brother's doing all right. But let me tell you this right now. He gets up. He said, Steph is different. he was all stuttering and everything. Steph is different. He's just different. I mean, damn. Because that's how you marvel at the greatness of this dude. That he loves. Remember, AI loves Russell Westbrook. But we're seeing something. This is we talk about once in a generation. We have never, ever seen a Steph Curry. Ever.
But guys,
ever. We have never seen it. And then you got Dame, and we know what a clutch player Dame is, and James Harden, Luka, CP3 is having an MVP, top 2 MVP candidate caliber year.
I don't agree with that.
So I don't know how you can't agree with that.
Top 5, arguably top 3. Look, I'll say this. You're giving Harden the short shrift here. Harden does not shoot it like Steph, as you said. No one in history ever shot it like Steph.
Right.
And Harden has fallen flat deep in the playoffs too often. But right up until that point, Harden has been MVP caliber every single year. And unlike Steph, he's the one dude this year. Tell me even one other player who ever lived who can run your offense like Harden, who has the court vision of Harden, the judgment of James Harden, the passing ability of James Harden with the ability to score from anywhere, get to the paint, free throws, three-point shot. Tell me one other player who does every single thing on Harden level. If he had succeeded already deep in the playoffs, it would be a wrap. But as is, Stephen A., I think that Steph Curry's shooting does not. James Harden took a much inferior team and came that close to beating Steph Game 7.
Stay with me, because I want to be very, very careful about what I'm saying here. Because I'm not you. I believe in James Harden. You like him, and you like what you see him, but you point out what he's done in the playoffs. Right. I'm not as hard about him in the playoffs the way that you are, because I've seen what he's been up against, and I didn't see him completely tank and fall apart. Only one year when he didn't show up in the Game 6 against San Antonio. Having said all of that, this is what I would tell you. Max Kellerman, I watched Brooklyn. And to watch the game today and what they record as an assist. I mean, I've seen them give dudes assists. I pass it to Max. Max passes it to Molly, and Molly shoots and scores, and I get the assist.